The psychology of 90s babies, specifically from 1990 to 1999.
You know what's strange about people born in the 1990s? They remember a world that doesn't exist anymore. They played
True.
outside until the streetlights came on, but also remember their first AIM screen name. They used encyclopedias for school projects, but also downloaded music on Napster. They're the last generation.
I never used Napster, bro. I used LimeWire a lot. Like I illegally downloaded a lot of music. But I can see where this is going already because I feel like I was born in 92 and I feel like my generation and the kids that were born from 90 to 99 um had to grow up in a very tough spot, and I think that that's probably where this video is going.
Who had projects, but also downloaded music on Napster. They're the last generation who had a childhood without smartphones, but came of age with social media.
Yep.
And that split, that created a psychology researchers are calling 90's kids syndrome. If you
Oh.
were born between 1990 and 1999, you occupy a space in history that will never be repeated. You're not quite a millennial. You're definitely not Gen Z. You're the bridge between two incompatible worlds.
Bro, that's so true. Oh my gosh, that's so true. That's so true. That's so true. Because me being born in 92, I'm like millennials are like 40, and I'm like just at the end of what would be considered a millennial, but I'm definitely not Gen Z either, like at all. So, wow.
You're definitely not Gen Z. You're the bridge between two incompatible worlds. Cartoon Network and YouTube, Blockbuster and Netflix, playing outside and playing online. And
Wow.
here's what nobody tells you. That split childhood created adults who are simultaneously nostalgic for simplicity and fluent in complexity. And it's affecting your
True.
mental health in ways you probably don't even recognize. Picture this. It's 1998. You're 8 years old. Saturday morning means waking up early for cartoons. Scooby-Doo, Rugrats, DuckTales. You pour yourself a bowl of sugary cereal and sit cross-legged on the floor in front of the TV. No tablets, no streaming services, no on-demand anything. If you missed it, you missed it. And somehow,
Bro, that's so true, dude. That's so true. It was so simple, dude. It was so, like yeah, we had, Nintendos or PlayStations, PlayStation 2 and like Xbox 360, but like we cherished being outside a lot more. Like a lot more. Like we would like I grew up in an apartment complex and we would play hide and seek tag every single night, bro. Like and like as late as we possibly could without other tenants calling to complain, put in a noise complaint of us running around screaming and having fun. We'd go down to the creek all the time and swim in the creek. We would go to the skate park. We'd just go do stuff, bro. Like we went out into a field and would just dig stuff. I mean, just anything, bro. Anything. Literally, we would do anything other than stay inside. And yeah, like sometimes it was awesome to, sit down and play some like GTA Vice City or Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Um, but we didn't that wasn't our life, you know? So this is crazy.
no on-demand anything. If you missed it, you missed it.
Yep.
And somehow, that made it matter more. After cartoons, you head outside. Not because your parents told you to, because that's what kids did. You played hide and seek until dusk. You climbed trees. You rode bikes through the neighborhood without
Yeah.
helmets or supervision. Scraped knees and muddy clothes weren't
Battle
emergencies.
scars, bro.
They were badges of honor, proving you'd actually lived that day.
Rite of passage, dude.
According to research on 90's childhood, kids spent an average of 3 to 4 hours outside daily. Today, less than 30 minutes. A 2023 WA.
Oh, dude, that's not good, bro. Like honestly, as much as I love technology and I love YouTube, um, I can definitely tell I'm not the kind of person that like I would thrive better without technology and without all that stuff. Like there are definitely days when I really wish technology would just disappear, bro. I think it could be used for good. Like there could be good aspects of it, but All in all, I think it is a detriment to society. I think it's very bad for humans. Like social media, it's not social at all, bro. You're isolated. It's not social. There's nothing social about social media. Literally nothing social. Social is like physical. Social is being in like present and being in each other's presence. There's nothing social about social media. You're not near anybody. You're behind a screen.
WHO study found that over less than 30 minutes. A 2023 WHO study found that over 80% of today's adolescents don't meet recommended physical activity levels.
Wow.
But you were the last generation that experienced unstructured outdoor play as the default, not the exception. You didn't need fancy toys. A stick became a sword. An empty lot became a battlefield. Your backyard transformed into whatever your imagination needed it to be.
True.
And because you couldn't Google what to do when bored,
you had to get creative, bro. I am a firm believer in boredom being a good thing. If you don't know how to be bored, then that's not good. Boredom is a good thing. That's when you learn to get creative. I guarantee that's what he's about to say, bro. Boredom is a good thing. It teaches you how to get creative and take yourself out of boredom.
develop something needed it to be. And because you couldn't Google what to do when bored, you developed something rare. Creativity born from emptiness.
Yes!
The ability to generate fun from nothing.
So true.
But here's where it gets complicated. You didn't just grow up analog. You lived through the transition.
Yeah.
You remember VHS tapes and rewinding them before returning to Blockbuster. But you also remember when DVDs felt like magic. You used dial-up internet where a single...
Yeah, we didn't, here in Pendleton, we didn't have Blockbuster. We had Hollywood Video. It's pretty much the same thing. And I used to get so excited to go in there and get new movies that came out, get new video games. You could rent them for like a week, bro. Oh, it's amazing, dude. And you just browse all the video games while my mom would walk around and look for movies. And then we were super excited about new movies to watch and video games to play, bro. That freaking awesome, dude. And it is very crazy to see how much has changed in a matter of 20 years, dude. Like the world that I grew up in, that I prepared for, is no longer here. Does not exist at all.
web page. Remember when DVDs felt like magic?
Yep.
You used dial-up internet where a single web page took 5 minutes to load. But by high school, you had broadband. You typed school papers on actual typewriters in elementary school.
I didn't do that.
By middle school, you were using Word documents. According to researchers, 90s babies experienced a unique blend of traditional education and the beginning of tech-based learning. You spent hours in libraries using card catalogs and encyclopedias. But you were also the first generation to use computers in school regularly.
Yeah.
You're bilingual in a way no generation before or after will ever be. Analog native, digital fluent. And social media? You remember life before it. You had actual privacy. When you did something embarrassing, only the people there knew about it.
Oh,
No
so
phones
true.
filming.
That's so true, but I didn't even think about that. I've never even thought about that. That's so true, bro.
No viral videos. No permanent digital record of your worst moments.
Yeah.
One 90s baby put it perfectly. We all talked crazy amounts of shit about each other and did shockingly inappropriate things, but we never had to worry about it ending up where everyone could see it. You got to figure out who you were in private. That's a luxury that will never exist again. But then MySpace launched when you were a teenager. Facebook opened to everyone when you were in high school or college. Instagram appeared...
Yeah, I think I was like 16 when Facebook started becoming a thing. And I remember when I first created a Facebook account, I thought it was the most boring site ever. How it looked boring, like it was not aesthetic at all, bro. MySpace was so like, you know, you could add music and your top friends and it was colorful, and Facebook just seemed so bland, but it took over so fast, dude.
Teenager. Facebook opened to everyone when you were in high school or college. Instagram appeared as you entered adulthood.
Yeah.
You learned to curate yourself, to perform your life for an audience, to seek validation through likes and comments. And that shift, it split your psychology in half. Here's what researchers noticed. 90s babies experience unusually intense nostalgia. They call it 90s kids syndrome. And it's not just sentimentality, it's neurological. According to studies on psychological essentialism, people tend to believe their personal experiences are more authentic than others. And 90s babies? They lived through a fundamental shift. They witnessed the death of one world and the birth of another. So when they look back, they're not just remembering their childhood. They're mourning an entire way of life that disappeared. The
Wow.
rosy retrospection bias explains why you idealize the past. Your brain filters out the mundane and distressing parts and preserves the emotional highs. It's not that the
Hmm.
90s were perfect.
Wow. Okay. Hold on.
Bias explains why you idealize the past. Your brain filters out the mundane and distressing parts and preserves the emotional highs.
So we're pretty much like a broken generation, like a heartbroken generation. Wow. And, and I'm sure that, obviously, like there were a lot of people that experienced this shift, but I'm assuming the fact that we experienced it as young kids and as teenagers is what is unique to us because we had to process this shift happening, at a very young age at, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, up to like 16. Um, like while our brains are developing, we had to experience this shift in life and everything that we grew up knowing by the time we were adults, it had completely changed. So we were molded for a world that didn't exist by the time we were entering it. Wow.
It's not that the 90s were perfect. You just remember them that way. Because what you're actually missing isn't the decade, it's the feeling. Being
Yes.
fully present
Yep.
without constant comparison, living without performing, existing without documenting.
Hmm.
One researcher described 90s kids perfectly. They are the living testimony endorsing the fall of antiquity and the rise of modernity. You're
Wow.
the only generation that can compare both worlds accurately. You know what was gained. You also know what was lost.
Yeah.
Here's the part that's harder to talk about. A study from the University of California, analyzing over 27,500 adults, found something devastating. People born in the 90s have worse mental health than any previous generation. Depression, anxiety, and other mental disorders are significantly higher among 90s babies compared to those born in the 80s.
That's
And
sad,
these
dude.
disorders get progressively worse with age. The researchers concluded that technology and social media use are primary factors. But it's more than that. You were raised with one set of values. Emotions and sentiments controlled us, as one researcher put it. Then, forced to adapt to a world where devices dominate everything. You
Mm.
learn that friendships were built through shared experiences. Then you watch social media turn connection into performance.
Yeah, now it's all fake, dude. Like I feel like the world we're in right now is so fake. It's all fake. Everyone's like this weird self-absorbed narcissist. Dude, that explains so much why I am the way I am. Other than how God created me. Like God placed me here on earth at this specific time for a specific reason. But humanly, worldly and humanly, this explains so much, dude. It explains so much. It's a fake world. And I didn't grow up in a fake world. I grew up where, like you got punched in the face for being a jackass, you know? Like I grew up in a world where talking shit had consequences, where you got confronted for things. Everything was very real and confrontational and present, and it's just not like that anymore.
You developed self-worth through actual accomplishments. Then you entered a world where value is measured in followers and likes. That cognitive dissonance creates psychological strain.
Mm,
You're not depressed because you're weak. You're exhausted because you're living in two incompatible realities simultaneously. But here's what 90s babies have that other generations don't. Perspective. You know what life was like without constant connectivity, so you can put your phone down at dinner, take tech-free vacations, sleep without checking devices, because you remember what presence actually feels like. You value authenticity over performance because you developed identity before audiences existed. You understand patience because you waited for things, for songs to download, for photos to develop, for your favorite show to air at
so
its
true,
scheduled
bro.
time. You learned delayed gratification wasn't just acceptable, it was normal. You have what researchers call a balanced childhood that straddled the line between analog and digital worlds. You climbed trees and coded websites. You played tag and played video
Yeah.
games. You read books and browsed the early internet. That balance is rare and it's valuable. Today, 90s babies are in their mid-20s to mid-30s. You're
Hmm.
contributing to society in significant ways. You bring traditional values and technological fluency. You
That's so true, bro. I'm a very traditional conservative person. And I love traditional values, but I love technology too. Wow. Wow.
Translate between generations. You bring traditional values and technological fluency. You translate between generations at work. You bridge your boomer parents and your Gen Alpha kids.
Yeah.
You're the mediators, the explainers, the ones who remember both before and after. Here's what nobody tells you about being a 90s baby. You'll spend your life caught between nostalgia and adaptation. You'll watch younger generations grow up completely digital and feel both envious and relieved they'll never know what they're missing. You'll hear older generations romanticize the good old days and think, I actually remember those days. They weren't that simple. You're not better than other generations. You're different, shaped by timing, by being born at the exact moment when the old world was ending and the new one was beginning. You carry both. You belong fully to neither. And maybe that's not weakness. Maybe that's wisdom. You see what younger generations lost. You understand what older generations can't grasp. You hold both truths without needing to pick a side. The world changed while you were growing up, and instead of breaking you, it made you adaptable, resilient, aware. You're not confused about who you are. You're just the only generation that remembers both worlds clearly enough to compare them honestly.
Wow, dude. That's a good video, man. That's a good video. Like, I so badly just want to get a house or like get a cabin somewhere, bro. And like, there's a part of me that wants to have like a cool space where I can go that is just littered with technology and where I can just be creative as possible. But I also want like a cabin home that doesn't have any of that, and it looks like a cabin, you know, that's like straight out of like the late '80s, early '90s. You know, I want that so bad, bro, so bad. And on it, dude, coming across this video is amazing. Like, genuinely, that's such a good video. How cool is that? And I know that there's probably a lot of '90s babies on my Facebook. So if you're a '90s baby, comment below. Comment below because I feel like you probably relate to this just as heavily as I do.